Hey guys, welcome back. In the last lecture, we saw how to integrate the Stripe Charge API, and so far in our course, we implemented all the required APIs into our Stripe service class. In this lecture, we will create a bookings controller and club all Stripe APIs with booking form submission. Okay, so let's start implementing the controller first. Okay, so you need to create a new controller and name that controller as bookings controller and define an empty create method inside it. Okay, so switch to your project directory and go to the controllers now, and inside the controllers you need to create a new file and name this file as or save this file as bookings controller bookings.rb. Okay, so this will save a booking controller file for us, and now we need to implement this method, so we can simply define like normal controllers class booking controller and inherited by application controller and end it. Okay, now inside this controller what we need to do, that we need to define an empty create method. Okay, and add line break at the end of the controller and save the file. Okay, and then after creating this bookings controller we need to open our routes.rb and we need to define a resource for this booking controller. Okay, so go to the config routes.rb, open it, and here let's define the resources bookings, sources bookings, and just only, because we are only trying to create index section a create action for now. Okay, so let's provide just create action. Okay, made I here. Okay, so only percent I and then create. We don't need any other action for now. If later needed, then we will add actions here more. Okay, now close this routes file. Now open the show.html.erb of workshops and update the URL to bookings into the booking form. Okay, and after updating the URL, we will submit the empty form. So first go to the app views, open the workshop directory, and inside the workshop directory, you can see there is the show.html.erb where we created our booking forms. Here you can see it. So initially we set the URL as hash. So now we need to remove this URL and we need to add bookings here. Okay, and when we submit this form, this will come, the request will come at the create action of the bookings controller. Okay, so we saved this, and now let's try to submit an empty form. Okay, so go to the browser. Okay, and here you can see I'm at the detail page of workshop 3. Okay, and let's provide some detail here. Let's say Ravi Singh Kashyap, and provide some numbers here, ticket, and provide some dummy card detail for now, and add some CVV 123 and 12, and add, select a number from here. Okay, and now submit this form. But before submitting the form, let's make some space on the terminal. Open the terminal where the rail server is running. Okay, so now make some space here, and now go to the bookings form and submit the data. Okay, so when you submit it, oh, you can see that workshop 3 error post. Why? Because we just changed the URL inside the bookings form. Okay, but we did not refresh the page, so that's why it was submitting us to workshop show page. Okay, now refresh this and now submit the details again. Okay, so let's provide it 23 and provide some card details for now, anything, because we are not sending it to Stripe, so we can provide anything and select anything value from here, and now submit this empty form. Okay, so here you can see books your tickets now has been submitted to the create action of the bookings controller, and here you can see what we are getting, that we are getting param says workshop ID, customer details like full name, email, and contact number, and card details like card number, CVV, expiry month, and expiry year. And we are also getting the number of tickets into the parameters. But we are not seeing any redirection here. Why? Because our booking controllers create action is empty for now, but since we are getting the params for customer details and card details, so now we need to permit these params separately. Okay, because first we will create customer into our application and then we will create card on the Stripe. So let's separate this method. So open the bookings controller, and inside the bookings controller we need to define two methods. First, for one for customer params and one for card token params. Okay, so let's write private here. Okay, and inside this private area, let's define a method def customer params. And in this customer params, you need to permit params which are required to customer for customer, like full name, contact number, and email. So let's permit those params dot permit. Okay, and here what we need to do: full name, then contact number, and then email. Okay, and same, we need to create another method for accepting the card token. So we what we can write card def card token params. Or you can let's say you can name this method as card params as well. Okay, it totally optional and depends upon you what you how you want to name your methods. Okay, and now permit card params here so params dot permit. And inside this permit block, what you need to provide: card number, and then exp year, and then exp month, and then cvv, and save the file. Now we need to update the create action here, but before updating the create action, let's discuss few points that what we necessarily need in this section. Okay, so we need a workshop ID, or we need a workshop. Okay, using the workshop ID that we are getting into the params. Okay, why we need this workshop? Because if you can see a method inside the stripe service class, so you can see the method that we implemented in last lecture, that create stripe charge. So we are providing workshop as an argument here. Okay, why? Because we are formatting the stripe charge description. Okay, so we need workshop ID into our controller, and now we need a customer as well. Okay, because we will call the this method. You can see at the top that find or create customer. Okay, so we will call this method of stripe service class into the our bookings controller. So we need to either find a existing customer, or we need to create a customer into this create action. Okay, and now at the last, we need to call all the methods defined inside the stripe service class in this create action. So we also need to instantiate the service class object in this action. Okay, so now what we can do, so let's try to update your create action. Okay, so here first instantiate the stripe service class. So at the rate stripe service equal to stripe service dot new. Okay, and after instantiating this stripe service, what we need to provide: the workshop ID to load the workshop. So define a workshop instance here. So at the rate workshop equal to workshop dot find, and what we can provide here: params workshop ID. Okay, workshop underscore ID. Okay, and now at last what we need to do, that we need to fetch the customer. Okay, so at the rate equal to customer dot find by email, and then params email. Okay, and save this. Now we need to check if this customer really exists. Okay, because if this customer does not exist, then we need to create a new customer on the stripe with the customer data that we are getting into the form. Okay, so let's make a check. Unless at that customer dot present. Okay, if it present, then this will not, the create query which we will write here will not get execute. Okay, because unless just work opposite of if. Okay, so if the customer does not present, then what we need to do: at the rate customer equal to customer dot create, and then invoke this method customer params. Okay, so copy this and just write it here. Okay, and now close this unless block. Okay, now since we have customer, no matter existing or new customer, okay, so we can use this customer to create or fetch customer from the stripe. Okay, so let's call find or create customer method defined inside the stripe service. You can find that method here. Okay, so now we need to call this method into the controller. Okay, so let's use that. So what we can use here, at the rate stripe customer. Okay, and then at the rate stripe service dot all this method, and here we can provide at the rate customer. Okay, so just write at the rate here. Okay, so this line will fetch the stripe customer from the stripe service class. Okay, now once we either fetch or create customer on stripe, now we need to create card for that customer. So we need to pass the card token params and stripe customer as argument to the stripe service class, this method. Okay, what is the method name? Create stripe customer card. Okay, so let's define a card here. Okay, so at the rate card equal to at the rate stripe service dot, and just copy this method. Okay, so we can copy this and just paste it here, and now just replace this params by this method name. Okay, card token params. Okay, so let's provide card tokens params and add at the rate this to this stripe customer. Okay, why? Because we defined stripe customer with at the rate symbol here. Okay, and I will let you know that why I am instantiating all of these variables using at the rate symbol. Okay, now let's calculate the amount of all ticket that customer want to book. Okay, so here first we need to get the number of tickets that customer want to book. Okay, and we are getting the number of tickets inside the params. Okay, let me show you a terminal. Here you can see we are getting this number of tickets. Okay, so what we need to do, that we need to define a variable amount to be paid. So at the rate amount to be paid equal to params, and then number of tickets dot 2i, and then multiply this by at the rate workshop dot registration fee. Okay, and now save this. Okay, so the total amount will be like if workshop registration fee is 100 and customer wants to book 10 tickets, then the total amount will be 1000. Okay, so that's why we write this formula here. Okay, and now this is the time to create charge on stripe with required arguments. Okay, and in the last lecture we already worked with the arguments that are required to create charge on stripe. So let's call create stripe charge method from stripe service class. Okay, so what we need to do, that we need to define a charge object here. So at the rate charge equal to, and here you can see, just first call the stripe service instance stripe service dot, and then you can call this method create stripe charge. Okay, so just to copy the entire method name with argument list and paste it here, and now write at the rate to every argument, at the rate amount to be paid, at the rate stripe customer underscore id, remove it and just write stripe customer dot id, and at the rate card dot id, remove this underscore and replace it by dot. Okay, and now at the last at the rate workshop. Okay, so here you can see we provide at the rate stripe service dot create stripe charge, and at the rate amount to be paid, at the rate stripe customer dot id, card dot id, and workshop. Okay, and you can confirm it here, the order of the argument, that in which order we are getting these arguments. Okay, now come to the bookings controller again. Okay, now when a transaction is performed on the stripe, we can create booking on our rails app for the customer. So let's do that. Okay, now we need to define the booking object here. So let's at the rate booking equal to at the rate workshop dot bookings. Why I'm using workshop dot bookings? Because if you look at the workshop model here, you can see has many bookings. Okay, so we can call at the rate workshop dot bookings dot create. Okay, and in this create action just provide some arguments. Let's say customer id, customer underscore id is equal to at the rate, sorry, at the rate customer dot id. Okay, and stripe transaction id, stripe transaction id is equal to at the rate charge dot id. So whatever the id of charge, we will save as stripe transaction id inside the booking model. So at the rate charge dot id. Okay, and now number of tickets. So this will be params, and then number of tickets, then convert it to integer to I, and then amount paid for that booking. So amount paid is equal to at the rate amount to be paid. Okay, and now save this booking. Okay, and after saving this booking instance, what we need to do as next step, that we need to write a redirect line here, because after creating this booking we must redirect customer to some specific page. So for now we will just redirect a customer on the workshop detail page itself. Okay, we will later design a successful response page, but for now let's redirect the customer on workshop detail page itself. Okay, so write redirect to, and here workshop path, and provide the workshop id. So at the rate workshop. Okay, and here you can provide some notice, and in the notice you can provide a simple message. Just write it in single quotes: your tickets has been booked. You can format your message in any way: your tickets has been booked. Okay, and now save this. But we are not done here. Although this will work, this will create a customer on the stripe and create a card for that customer, and then charge that customer for the whatever the number of seats he want to book. But what happen if the stripe api fails, or if we provide any incorrect data to the stripe? Okay, so here we need to handle some exception handling, or some handle some stripe errors. Okay, so after redirect line, let's add a rescue block here. Okay, and inside this rescue you must provide stripe, and then stripe error, and then equal to error, some space here, and then redirect to same workshop path, but this time with stripe error object. Okay, or stripe error message. So copy that, and now with the indentation first. Okay, and now in the notice, what you can provide here, notice as at the rate error dot message. Now, this is very silly thing, but I just wanted to recall for you that it would be a great practice if you write your code in that way. Here you can see that I used single quoted string to display notice, and here I am using double quoted string for displaying notice message. Okay, why? Because here I am not interpolating any variable inside the string, but here I am interpolating the dynamic error messages inside the string. Okay, so you must use double quoted string only when you are interpolating something else. Always go with the double a single quote string if you are not interpolating any dynamic data. Okay, now save this booking form, and now it's time to create a customer on now it's time to submit the booking form with some real data. Okay, so not real, it's a fake data, but it's time to test our booking form. Okay, so go to the browser. Okay, and now refresh the page. Okay, and now let's provide some customer detail. Okay, so make some space here, let's say marcus, marcus circus, and then marcus at the rate example.com, and here you provide contact number, And here, let's say you want to book 19 seats for this workshop, and now you need to provide your card details here. Okay, so let's provide your card details as a Visa card detail. So 12 times 5 and 4 times 4. Okay, this is the taste card for Mastercard. Okay, and now submit it. Now provide the CVV and then month is 12, and now here you can provide 2023. Okay, and now make some space at the terminal. Okay, we already made it, and now submit your booking form. Okay, so when you submit this booking form, just click on the no thanks, and you will see that something has been happened. Okay, but we did not see any notice messages here because we did not add that notice flag. Okay, so here you can see that first a customer has been created with Marcus Circus and Marcus at the example.com. Okay, and here you can see that after creating this customer, we are sending this customer to the Stripe by this line. Okay, so we are invoking the find or create customer method from Stripe service class, and it is updating the customer ID inside our customer object. Okay, and now you can see that after fetching the customer, first we are calling the card API, then we are calculating the amount to be paid, and then we are creating the charge for that customer, and then we are creating booking ID. So here you can see that first the booking has been created, and once the booking has been created, you can see that the callback which we defined inside the booking model has worked, and now the updated seat for the workshop is 81. Why? Because this customer has booked 19 tickets for that workshop. Okay, and here you can see that this booking model or this booking model object has a Stripe transaction ID as well. Okay, now it's time to verify this on Stripe. So go to the Stripe dashboard and click on the customers first, because we want to see that. You can see that Marcus Circus has been created with a Visa card payment method. You can click on this and you can see that this is the latest payment that this customer has made, and this is the message: amount 28500 charged for full stack node development bootcamp, and this is our workshop name. Okay, and here you can see that remaining seats is 81 now. Okay, also now if you want to check the payments, then you can go to the payments, and here you can see it, that this is the charge that we created: 28,500, and amount charge for full stack node development bootcamp. Okay, that's all from this lecture. Kindly go through the complete lecture and implement booking controller at your end as well, and let me know through the comment section if you stuck at any point. Now I wanted to explain you that why I added at the rate to every variable inside this create action. Okay, because in the next lecture we will send email when a booking is confirmed for a customer. Okay, for example, whenever you book tickets for an event or movies, you will get some welcome message or successful transaction message either in your email or in your phone. Okay, that congratulations, your tickets has been booked, or your event has been booked. Okay, or your payment has been done. Okay, so in the next lecture we will implement that mailer, and we will send the email from our application. And in the mailer we need to populate the data like what is the workshop name, and what is the customer details, what are the Stripe charge details, and what are the booking details. Okay, so that's why to populate these variables on the view file or view template, I just use at that symbol. Okay, with every variable I define here. Okay, so let's give this a try at your end, and let's meet into the next lecture. And thanks for watching this. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.